Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now this week, we've got something special lined up. Now a couple of weeks ago, I made a video where I discussed some of the games that made me. And also I said that there'd probably be more to come, because there was a lot of games that really were important to me growing up. Now this isn't the part 2 that I said would be coming up. However, I thought that it'd be a good idea to take a deeper look into some of my gaming history, specifically on those games that I discussed in the first video. Now, I can't really do this alone, and to help me out, I've got a guest here today on the channel, and that's my best friend, Munya, from growing up. Now, we talked for quite a while about all things gaming and stuff slightly related to gaming and a little bit more, so I won't keep you hearing the intro for too long. But if you do go on to like this video, don't forget to comment and like it as well. It really helps us out. I won't keep you any longer, so I'll hand over to the past version of me. Take it away, Callum. So, joining me on today's sort of podcast episode is my good friend Munya. Hi, say hi, Munya.
Hi, Munya.
Yes, good, perfect.
Hi, guys.
So, we're here to talk about games, and specifically the games that sort of we grew up with and our history, I guess, with games. They've always been quite important to our friendship group, I think. I feel like sleepovers and stuff are always centered around what game we're playing.
Yeah. Agreed.
So directly, this video is going to be covering especially the games that I covered in the first of these sort of the games that made me videos. So a lot of those games were obviously staples. I obviously went with some of the bigger ones to begin with, but there's a few more that obviously we'll still touch on as well. And as well as that, any of the games previously mentioned, so any Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings games that I mentioned in previous videos, we'll talk about too, and that's good because we've got some fun stories from those especially. Two spring to mind strongly. What I figured though, when I was looking at it actually, is that 100% the thing that you can say is that we were never very good at video games.
No, we were terrible. We were actually terrible. And because me and you were so close growing up, like we thought we were all right. And then we got to like secondary school and started playing games with other people. And then the pecking order just kept dropping. And we sucked.
As soon as we started playing with like Sam and Luke especially, and they just rinse us on Call of Duty.
Honestly, like all of those lot, like if you play Call of Duty with them, it's just like it's not even fun anymore because they're just killing you over and over and over again. And like even like when we would speak to them, and then we'd be talking about a game we got stuck on, and they'll be like, "No, we completed it in like 2 days." And we're like, "How? How does this make sense?"
But that's the thing though, because I think with a lot of them, I think most of their gaming catalogs really centre around just Call of Duty, FIFA, and then maybe 1 or 2 other games.
True.
I feel like we've been interested in a lot more games. I think the range of games that we play is a lot higher, but we just sort of distinctly average at all of them rather than...
Yeah. Rather than being really good at any of them, Apart from I'm amazing at Tetris. I'm amazing at Tetris, but... Yeah, there's nothing. Yeah, we are just like the average gamers who big ourselves up, even though we're not as good as we think. But yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I was looking at some of the stories that we've had in gaming, and it's always centering around us not being able to finish a level. Where all of it always comes from. Like, so Lord of the Rings is the first one that I thought of immediately when we were playing Return of the King.
Yeah, great game.
Yeah, and we love that game. We played it all the time, and it was always a go-to, especially you, me, and Ben Fordham, especially.
Yeah.
We would play it all the time, and especially the Army of the Dead level was always a favourite.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Massacres
all round.
Yeah.
But obviously, and I'm sure you know which event I'm talking about. The main one is
it the Smeagol bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That we just could not complete. And not only that, to add to the difficulty, your little brother obviously was...
beating the hell out of us.
He was
it's like we're getting beaten in the game and they were getting beaten in real life. Like, life wasn't on our side in that period of time.
It was like a perfect representation. Like, we were Frodo and Sam in the game fighting Smeagol, and we were fighting Sam in real life fighting Towie.
Honestly. Honestly, you're right though about us just getting stuck on levels. I don't know if you remember when we were playing Soul Calibur, and that thing where you had to go through and you had to fight all those different people, and then we'd always get to that one we had to go against. Was it Voldo?
Oh God,
we just couldn't beat him. We just couldn't beat him. Like, we played every day after school for like a month, and we were just stuck there. And I just still to this day, I just don't understand that. We were button mashing, so I don't understand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't understand to this day how anyone's ever completed that level.
Yeah, it was one of those things, well, especially with Voldo and Ivy. They're the two that they're really hard to play against, but when you play as them, it's not the same. Like you get
not at all. Not at all.
By anyone.
No, not at all. I feel like the computer knows different moves that we didn't. Well, I say that, but again, me and you, like, we were like nerds, as in like we knew so much about, like, let's say the game's history. Let's say if it was based on a TV show or a film, we knew everything about it. But then when it actually came knowing the skill set and the buttons, you know, we wouldn't even like. I wouldn't even know half the buttons until we're halfway through the game because we would just be guessing the whole way through. And I guess that also does add to our difficulties, into why we struggled so badly, because like you play against some other people and like they just know all the buttons, like they know all the trick shots, like they know to press up, down, triangle, square on the PlayStation, or X, circle. I can't even remember what's on the Xbox controller. So like but that also reminds me now, because I'm watching my little nephew play games, and like he just watches like YouTube videos on like how to complete things. Because of our age, YouTube was just being born when we were.
Exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? And everything we had to try and do, we had to go onto some weird website and write everything down in a book. Like if I think about it, how sad is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I miss the time as well. Actually, a lot of games around that time came with books that had like a walkthrough in it.
Yeah.
Game cases that had the like really heavy. In fact, the other day I bought Mass Effect 2 again.
Oh yeah.
And it threw me back immediately because as soon as I opened it up, it was a properly heavy case. Whereas all the one games, they're all just like throw them around. Like,
light as hell. Yeah.
It's crazy. I've always found, and on that sort of not knowing the buttons thing, the reason why I like Soul Calibur is because it's one of the few fighting games where that's fine. Button mashing does work.
Yeah.
I tried to play Injustice, I think it might have been last year or something, with another friend, and like I actually just couldn't play it at all. Like
that game is so hard. That game is so hard. Like you actually have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's all about button combinations and like just hitting like punch, which kind of can work, but you end up just like as sort of Superman or Batman, just going.
And then the person you're fighting will like jump over your head and doing some mad things, and then people know finishes and stuff. Like no. That's why like if anyone wants to play me on those sort of games now, I just say no, because it's just an embarrassment to me and my family. So I decided to just
I love on Mortal Kombat when it's like finish him, and then I don't know how to do a finish. I just end up just going. Yeah.
Well, a win's a win. Really. So, yeah. That also reminds me of well, maybe it was the stress from that Harry Potter level, but remember you end up drinking yourself into hospital. And when we say drinking yourself into hospital, everyone watching is probably gonna be thinking like we were drinking so much alcohol, but really, all that happened was drinking pints of water, which I guess a lot of people would be quite hilarious when I think back. And I tell people and they're like, so what were you doing? And I was like, we were just really stressed that we couldn't do this level on Harry Potter.
It was like literally the first defense against the dark arts lesson in Prisoner of Azkaban, I think.
Yeah.
Playing that stupid furnace or something.
Yeah. And I remember everyone was laughing at us, like, how are you stuck there? That's like the first level. And we were like, can you piss off?
Good at games, all right?
Yeah. We've been telling ourselves for years we're good at games. No, that game I have a personal vendetta against, and one time I'm going to find it and I'm going to complete it in a day, and I've told myself I'm going to do it. I don't care anymore.
The few games that we actually were alright at are stuff like, obviously all the Lego games, but they're literally for children. We could do them fine.
Yeah.
And then one of our all-time favourites, obviously Mashed, which
Mashed was a good game.
I think it's one of the best equalising games out there, because even people who are really good at games, people who are really good at driving games, even or down to the same level. I think sometimes winning, and then another time someone completely different will win, which I
100%. It's very, very even. Like, I don't believe anyone can really say they're good at Mashed, because a half of it is potluck. Because you could be miles ahead, and then someone gets a rocket launcher, shoots you off the side, and then you're like, you've got like a 20-second penalty, and everyone's gone past you, and you're not picking up after that.
And here's the other thing as well, is controversial opinion, but I think Mashed is better than Mario Kart. But I mean, I love Mario Kart, don't get me wrong, I love Mario Kart. I've started to like it a bit less ever since Amber's beat me at it every time we play now.
I wouldn't have it, Callum. You should be practicing till 4 a.m. every single night.
Well, that's the thing. There was for a time, like she was playing it quite a lot, like almost every day, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so she just overtook me in ability massively.
That is one of those. That's one of those games that, like, well, as with most games, well, apart from Mashed, like, the more you play it, the better you are. Because, like, when I first pick up Mario Kart, especially now when you're using like the Wii remotes, like, it takes me a game or two to kind of, you know, get your bearings about like how sharp you turn, like how early do you have to brake. Because I remember like the same thing, that the girl I was seeing at some point, like, I hadn't played in years, and you know me, I love to give it the big one. And I was being cocky. I was saying how I was like, yeah, if I win, you have to pay for the takeaway. Well, £40 came out of my account because she smashed me 5 races in a row. And when she won the championship, I didn't talk to her for like 10 minutes because I felt like she cheated. But then I realized that she plays it every day. So I've been practicing, and I want to play her again in September. And I vowed that I'm going to make her cry. So, yeah, Mario Kart is just. But you know what? Even like when you're talking about practicing of games, like, you know, my little nephew, he's 7.
Yeah.
This guy plays Fortnite like every day, and like he's 7. So I'm like, at 7, I was never that good at games. But like, if he asked me to play one-on-one on Fortnite right now, I'd say no. Mainly because as an uncle, you can't be defeated that. But I wouldn't kill him. If we went one-on-one, and he would kill me over and over and over again. And I will not allow a 7-year-old to murk me at a game, because then I'll have to murk him in reality. And you know what I mean?
Hold on for those bragging rights as long as you can as well, until a time where you feel like they need to finally beat you.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? But, you know, Cam never had those bragging rights, because I remember from day dot, we was close, but I used to beat him on FIFA a lot.
There was FIFA 12 or something where he was great at free kicks and you were great at corners or something.
Yeah, no, I was great at finesse shots. So he would just always score his free kicks. But then if I got anywhere outside the box, I remember like some great goals of Fernando Torres against him, even though he's a Liverpool fan. I remember we had some great games. Great games. The Cam versus Munya FIFA like games that we had were some serious. Those are games that I used to come from the house, turn up at your house, and I'd be like stretching on the way there, like, time to make this kid who's like 3 years older than me cry today. I cannot lose. So no, those are good times. But yeah, you're right when you say like our life was really based around games, sugary drinks and games. That's what we would do. We'd like, whether it be your house, my house, we just play games until like 4 or 5 in the morning. But then we'd like, remember when we used to time to get to Tesco? It's like 10 minutes before.
Yeah.
Like, you could leave your house at like 1:45, get there for like 10:10, and then like leave. But all the times where, this is why I'm surprised that none of us in our friendship group have had like a drug addiction, because especially me and you, who used to buy like energy drinks and then down them just for the sugar high. You know what I mean? That's
It's like, I don't trust myself to ever do hard drugs, because like
you know what I mean? We got addicted to sugar, so you know.
Yeah, I'm hooked. That's it.
100%. Got to stay far away from opium. far, far away.
Yeah, it's mad. Like,
yeah, that was what we used to do in the other days of, like, we had so many little games we used to play, like on Halo, the little like game modes we play. Or do you remember when we used to play Halo and then we used to wait for Cam to come back from a night out?
yeah,
And then DC would just come in and he'd be smashed, and he'd still just be beating everyone. And he also used to play what's like the flipped analogs, like the flipped.
yeah, he played Southpaw, which like is supposed to be for left-handed people, but I don't think he was left-handed. I'm not sure. I'm sure I'm probably wrong. He might be left-handed, but I don't think he was. I think he just played it inverted.
Yeah. Like, and I remember like when we'd all pass the controllers every time he died, and like he'd kill like 20 people, then he'd finally die. He'd pass you the controller, and like for the first few minutes, you're like looking everywhere. You don't even know how to run straight just because. Yeah, like I just don't understand how people learn to play inverted. Like, I guess maybe if you start with inverted, but right now, if someone was like, "Go learn to play inverted," my brain just couldn't flip it. Like, I have now, one way of doing things.
It's one of my biggest pet peeves in games as well, especially when the game is set up normally, and then when you get in a vehicle, things become inverted. And like just part of the game mechanics. It's like, why do that?
Why? No, honestly, why did they do that?
Especially with spaceships. I think it happened in maybe one of the first or maybe second Battlefront, the original Battlefront game.
Yeah, good game.
As soon as you get in like a starfighter or something, it's inverted going up and down and stuff. And it's like, why? Why should you make it harder for me?
Was that on Halo as well?
I think it might have been. Like, I remember Banshees being quite difficult to fly. I mean, they were way overpowered.
Yeah, the Banshee was like the most OP machine on any game. But it's like the grab hammer. The grab hammer was like the most OP weapon I've seen on any game.
When they introduced that, it became a bit ridiculous. But that was good though as well. Like, we played Halo 3 so much. That was the one that they introduced grab hammers.
Yeah.
Sand Trap, especially the desert map, we played all the time.
You need to jump on the warthogs and just sprint around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing as well. I loved about gaming as well. We never just played the game modes that came in the game. We always made up our own shit all the time.
Yeah.
Like we'd do like warthog jousting or whatever.
Yeah. We used to play as well. That mode where one person would be in the Banshee and it was like hide and seek.
Yeah.
They like fly around looking for you, and then like they try and shoot you down. You try and shoot them down and try and that's good times. Or even with like the warthog as well.
Yeah.
Like we played so much Halo growing up. Now when I look back, like we played so. It was always at yours because you had the Xbox.
Yeah. Everyone else was PlayStation. I was like,
yeah, exactly. So like it was always Halo until like 3 a.m, and then deciding let's do a Harry Potter marathon. And then being absolutely exhausted. We would go watch Up the next day, didn't we?
No, I think we went to go see the new Harry Potter film or something. We were like, we should go and watch. We should watch as many of them as we can before we go tomorrow. So
I thought we went to watch Up because I fell asleep in it.
Oh yeah, my bad.
Because I fell asleep in it. That's why to this day I refuse to watch Up, mainly because I fell asleep in it. It's my weird way of thinking, but I'm not gonna watch Up. But remember we did go watch the Harry Potter and I screamed.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that memory will, because I remember even the girl behind me was like, "Oh my god, he screamed!" Yeah. Everyone was like, "I think it's no, it wasn't me," because that was before our voices had properly like broke. So when I screamed, my voice cracked, and I literally just sounded like a 9-year-old girl. Like it was, it was very, very, very embarrassing. But do you remember everybody was really dressed up as well?
Yeah.
There were many people not dressed up in the cinema.
It was like it was like the well, not the premiere, but like the first time it was shown in the Cambridge.
Yeah.
There was Half-Blood Prince. In fact, we watched Half-Blood Prince literally yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And that was that moment where Harry's reaching down into the water, wasn't it?
Ah, you remember?
The arm comes out.
Yeah. I can't believe how much I screamed at that.
Oh, good.
Oh gosh. Have you played any like horror type games?
I haven't played many. I mean, there's one notable one that we used to play a lot. But I've noticed that like they've made a resurgence recently, horror games, like the Friday the 13th game that's come out fairly.
That's a good game. It's fun to play with your friends. It's very good fun.
Yeah, especially as an online game where you like one person's the killer or whatever.
Yeah.
Good idea, but I haven't played much of them other than when we used to play House of the Dead.
Oh, mate, do you remember we even got stuck on that game as well? Just another game we got stuck on.
Well, to be fair, and I'm pretty sure I told you about this as well, it's because when you play 2-player on House of the Dead, it becomes like twice as hard. And in fact, not even twice as hard in some cases, because they literally, especially with all the bosses, they double the amount of times you need to hit the targets.
Oh.
You had that wall crawling thing that looked a bit like a
sloth on cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you play it on your own, you only have to shoot his hands like 4 times or something. When you play with 2 people, it's 8 times. And in that split second, when one person's using a gun as well and the other person is using a controller,
yeah,
it becomes a lot more difficult. So I'm fine with the fact that we got stuck on that. Because,
one we can actually, yeah.
Yeah, now we can blame it on the software for once.
Yeah, there's one horror game that I'll definitely recommend though, called Outlast.
Right.
It's like these crazy storylines and it's like first person. And honestly, I played it this year with my friend in our uni accommodation, and it'd be like 3 a.m. and we'd actually be screaming. Like, I felt sorry for our neighbors because it's actually terrifying. Like you like when I played it with like Towie would like just look at the floor the whole time. Because obviously when you look up, you see things jumping. So Towie just like it's even worse because like suddenly the music just goes like dun, dun, you know, like the really suspenseful music. You know that game is definitely something I would recommend to anybody. It's a very, very, very good storyline. Very weird, messed up storylines, but the actual, like as you said, like the smoothness of the game, like when you're focusing, like you really, like, it's like being it's like kind of like watching a film. So you're just so focused on like what to do next, and all of a sudden like someone jumps out at you. I'll admit I screamed probably hundreds of times playing this game.
It reminds me a bit of the whole Slender Man craze.
Yeah, we watched the film recently on Netflix. Trash. Don't bother watching it. It's terrible. It's the worst film.
It's hard to live up to the whole phenomenon that surrounded that like interactive game thing that came out. Like, how can you beat that really? Because that was the whole point. Was and that plays on the whole back of those in the early days of YouTube again, when everything was a jump scare video.
Yeah. I think that's crazy. Like the development of YouTube.
Changed so much. It's crazy.
Like, when did it come in? 2006? 2006 was when YouTube first started?
2006 or 2009, I think, maybe.
Yeah, that period. But like, if you think about it, me and you were still buying stickers for the World Cup. You know what I mean? And match attacks at that period of time. And then, you know, you fast forward, like, for me, like, you must have it with, like, little Sam but, like, fast forward to these kids now, like,
yeah.
I don't even think my nephew even knows what match attacks are. Like, I spoke about Match Mag, something that me and you were addicted to.
Love that, man.
No one even knows about it. Like,
it doesn't exist anymore, I don't think. It's just the Match of the Day magazine, which kind of, in a way, took over.
Sense. I was gonna say, because I hadn't seen it in shops in a very long time. Because I thought one day when I was very drunk in Tesco's, I was like, I'm gonna buy one for banner. I couldn't find it on the shelf, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Match Day, but I've got to be honest, I don't even see that a lot of the time. It's just if you want a football magazine nowadays, it's basically just 442.
But that's a bit too mature for young kids. If me and you were reading 442 in primary school, I think our parents would probably be really proud of us, but at the same time slightly worried.
Yeah.
Because it's an adult magazine. Not like adult isn't explicit, but like it's the words and images and stuff.
Yeah. I'd buy it occasionally when it was like when it had an Arsenal player on the cover and it was quite a cool looking cover or something.
Yeah. It's expensive though, I swear. That's why 442 is a very expensive magazine.
It's like something like $5.99 or something like that in the sort of upper echelon. Same as like stuff like Empire and that kind of stuff.
You see, this is
why it was like what, $129 or something like that.
Yeah, good lad. I remember like even in my bedroom, in my old bedroom, where I had like all the posters from the magazines like all over my walls.
Yeah, we had all the players, and we like would make our own like 11s album and stuff.
Wow, we were obsessed. We were obsessed. But like talking about football, obviously Football Manager is a game that and even Championship Manager, which used to play on Xbox. And do you remember Demichelis, who me and you thought was pronounced as decimals. I remember like the first time hearing it on Sky Sports News. And Demichelis has joined Man City, and I was like, excuse me, it's pronounced decimals. Do you mean decimals? Because I don't know what Demichelis. But again, I think one thing I find very funny and interesting when I look back at our childhood is me and you were considered two intelligent kids. But at the same time, we were really, really stupid, like really, really dumb. Like when you misread abacus as abacus, and then me and you, instead of me being like, nah mate, that's abacus, I was like, oh, a new word, what? And then one of the girls, I think it was Lily, was like, that says abacus. Me and you were like, right. Okay.
We also in year 5 all chose to read the dictionary as our reading books.
Weird kids. I don't know if you remember, but remember the time where we were in Camden with your dad and we were trying to discuss whether we should have go out for Chinese or have pizza in, because we wanted to watch X Factor, which is just, again, how old, like when we actually used to sit and want to watch X Factor.
In London.
And then we were discussing, and then I was like, guys, like, I've got the best business idea. What if there was a thing where Chinese restaurants, you could like order the food and they bring it to your house? Well, your dad was like, that's called a takeaway, Munya. And I was like, oh yeah, that's true. I honestly, you don't understand. During my thought process, when I went silent for like a good 10 seconds before I said it, I genuinely thought I was about to turn us into like the next Jeff Bezos. Like I really thought that I was about to become a millionaire with this idea, because I completely forgot that.
Well, we should have worked on it a bit more, because it could have developed into something like Deliveroo. We'd be rolling in it right now.
You know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? We actually would, but no, you guys laughed in my face, and I just walked around the Camden canals, like crying my eyes out, really felt, you know. Again, it just highlights the stupidity of me and you, even though Luke, who's a good friend of ours, and I don't know if, well, we obviously told you, but when we went to Kavos, Luke got terribly sunburnt. And then I was like, Luke, show me your sun cream. Please tell me why he handed me a bottle of shampoo. He'd been applying shampoo to his skin for like 3 days. For like 3 days. And I was just like, Luke, how? Like, you know, but that's our best friend, really. I love him to bits, but he definitely does have a couple brain cells missing. But bless him. But he's also another story with him is, which is embarrassing on your behalf, is when you lot were playing the rugby game, and then he was like, "You're so lucky," and you flipped. Why does everything I have to be about luck? No, we're not playing this game. And me and Sam were just sat there like, what the hell is going on?
I think it's because I was it was lucky.
You were losing so badly. Like it must have been like 30-0 at the point.
Yeah. Well, normally, like the rugby game is a game I'm actually good at. Like it's one of the few games. And Luke was absolutely thumping me.
And he was taking the piss as well. Like he was celebrating with all the goals. And I could just see you fuming, like sweating, like real hard, like to get the try. And then when you scored, he was like, "You're so lucky." You just saw red. You're like, "What? How is it luck?" Oh, that was so funny. That was so funny.
Really hard after that as well. Went in the other and I was like crying because I was like.
You were an emotional child. You were an emotional child. Like it's like me and you would work perfectly, because I was like really emotionless and you were like really emotional. Like I do remember the days of like back of primary school girlfriends, and like they'd break up with you, and then like you'd be in my bedroom floor crying, and me and my brother would just be playing career mode. And we'd be like, yeah, no, Callum, it's alright, man. You'll be alright. We'll just carry on playing career mode until you cheered up after about 2 hours. Like.
Yeah. Oh, Callum, that sucks. I'm just going to sign Steven Gerrard.
Oh, wait, Callum, give me 2 seconds. I need to concentrate. This is a really important transfer that I need to do. Do you remember that one time, like the next day afterwards, we'd gone to bed late, and then my dad was like, "When you wake up, we need to come clean some glass in the car." And I was like, why did who had a glass in the car? And then the fact we walked to the behind the car, and my brother had like smashed the whole back windshield. because my brother, being my brother, decided to throw a stone at the back of the car. On his way before football, and my dad was fuming. He was absolutely fuming. Oh, problem child, that one. Problem child.
Against the ground or something, not expecting it to bounce.
Yeah. And then he goes, I didn't think you'd break the window either. And it wasn't even a small stone. It was a pretty big stone that he threw.
Towie.
Yeah, Towie. What a man. Talking about FIFA though, do you remember that time when we started that Portsmouth one? And then we were like playing that charity shield game, and it was like 0-0, and then they were running through on goal, and I was like running through, about to tackle him, and you slide tackled me, and then their striker went on and scored, and then we lost 1-0. I remember just looking at you like.
I remember that now. It was Berbatov was in on goal. You were chasing him down with Sol Campbell, and then Johnson coming in,
right across the pitch. Absolutely snapped me, and I was like, right, well done, Callum. Great defending.
Is the confidence? Pardon? Any defender will tell you. Virgil van Dijk would say it's all about the confidence. Running.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's like when I had the confidence to give you the ball on the playground, even though we had one ball at lunchtime, and then it was the pace, the power, and now the shot, and then the ball went straight into the swimming pool. And everyone was like, Callum! We can't play football at lunch today because of you.
Yeah, that was the time as well where like footballs were like a proper commodity. Like there were like 3 and there were 4 year groups.
Classy.
And like if you got a football, like that was great.
Yeah.
Things basically, and no one else would take it from you. And the one time we actually get it ahead of the year 4s or whatever.
You took it straight over. Oh, I remember being so pissed off. I was like, why did you do that? All the time where you like got on like in a crouching position, and then you just 2-footed Dan Collard, like completely missed the ball as well. Just completely 2-footed him in the shin. He was on the floor crying, and I was like, what? Callum, what was that like?
This was a time when I was actually in the school team, so that's
I guess practicing was. Yeah, I guess you were practicing for training, but that tackle was honestly, when it comes to all my years of playing football, one of the worst tackles I've ever seen. Like, terrible. Missed the ball, 2 feet right in his shins.
Felt really bad. He was in proper pain. Like,
he was in a lot of pain.
He was crying. He had to get taken to. I'm pretty sure he had to get taken to the nurse. Sure.
Oh, good time.
I mean, there was the time. I mean, this one wasn't an illegal tackle or anything. But I remember you broke Andrew Stemp's arm by kicking a football.
Yeah. What a wonderful shot.
Yeah.
What a wonderful shot in that World Cup tournament we had. Mate, I was like Thierry Henry that day. Like, I was banging in the goals.
Yeah, no, that was mad. I also remember, speaking of school in general, do you remember when you and Ben Carver tried to bring back Pokemon?
Bring back Pokemon?
Yeah, I swear, it was back in IVC though. It wasn't primary school, and like definitely Ben Carver was part of this because he would go to sit in the middle of the field and just sit there like playing Pokemon.
Yeah, but loads of people did because loads of people ended up buying Game Boys. Like there was
like a
remember Sam got one, Remy got one, Ben got one. Like there was like in our year group at least like 20 people who all went online bought Game Boys. So I even remember like going back onto eBay and then like seeing like the prices of Game Boys had gone up, and I was sat there thinking, was that because of our school?
Yeah, I mean our school. Like I feel like a lot of the time, and it's one of these things as well. Like with sometimes you feel like you're at the center of the world, and then sometimes you get little moments where you actually realize that you are. Like for example, when we came up with the do the monkey dance bit in Merry Christmas Everyone.
No one believes me when I say this. No one believes me.
It was a random thing. It was one night we were doing for some reason, doing a weird Christmas show that we were going to perform like our parents or something.
Yeah.
And we came up with this. We thought it'd be funny to do because we've been watching Johnny Bravo or something that night.
Yeah.
There. And no one believed us. We were like, no.
You know what I mean? Maybe we should write a film about it. Yeah. The story of Do the Monkey Dance and all the adversity we faced from the public claiming that we didn't make it up. But to this day, I will die before anyone tells me it didn't happen, because I remember it so clearly, and I remember us going to school and saying it, and then loads of people doing it, and then it just spread like wildfire.
It was everywhere. I don't understand how it happened. Like, because we did it once. We must have done it in primary school. Like,
Yeah.
On like a Christmas party or something. We must have been like, hey, we've got a good thing to do.
Yeah.
Love it. You're gonna love it.
when you get your one piece of pizza and your one drink of like orangeade, the Christmas party. Quick question though, can you hear me? Do you remember Bloody Raw?
Bloody Raw, yeah. Yeah, that was another one of those weird just GameCube games that for some reason you had a big selection of random GameCube games.
Yeah, because my dad's a weirdo and would just be in some random game shop and be like, that looks interesting, and just buy it for me. And it was just like some weird game. Bloody hell.
It came up on one of those like I watched like obviously a lot of like gaming list videos or something, and it was like the weirdest fighting games or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember that.
Yeah. I know my parents pretty well, so
yeah.
My house is a madhouse, so every day is something new.
Your Instagram story when your mum ate your sandwich.
Oh, don't even get me started. I can't eat in this house. There's no peace in this house. I can't eat a sandwich without someone mentioning something. It's like, leave me alone. I leave him alone. Yeah, they've been, same old. Like, mum woke me up at like 6:30 the other week and said, do you want to go for a walk? What? I was literally like, excuse me? And she was like, do you want to come with me for a walk? No.
Early mornings when you don't mix, that's not.
No, not at all. I'm trying to think though, is there any other game that we really played a lot? And I can't.
Like, there was obviously, so MASH, Halo, huge one. Star Wars Battlefront, another big one. We played a lot. Again, COD, obviously, we played quite a bit of Lost Shooting games.
Yeah. What about the other Star Wars game we used to play?
Well, there's KOTOR.
Yeah.
Obviously one player, but like
that was a good game though.
Stop us from playing games, like even if it was a one player game. Like GTA, for example, we used to always play.
Yeah.
But I remember once when I was sick, I was playing KOTOR, and you and Towie came round. My granddad was there as well.
Yeah.
And I was playing it, and you guys just came around to check how I was, and then Granddad made us all clean the living room.
Mate, that your granddad, like, I just remember coming home from school and then me and you'd be like, is he home? Right, okay, what subject can we ask him? Because he used to always ask us questions on the subject. We'd be like, oh, what can we talk to? What can we tell him? And we were like, one day we were like, right, let's tell him we did PE. Yeah. And he just started shouting physics at us. So there's a gym bar and he's this far from the ground. Let me tell you about terminal velocity. And there's like 9-year-old me and you looking at this guy like, what the hell is terminal velocity? But I have to thank him because I knew what a palindrome was before we even hit secondary school. I remember them like talking about palindromes, and me and you were like, yeah, we got taught that in like year 5. You know,
yeah, definitely. It's
trying to enjoy.
Like with granddad and to an extent as well, dad and other family members, is that they're always quite into science and that kind of stuff. And
yeah. It's like how my dad the other day was teaching little Elijah about nuclear energy. And I was like, he's 7. What are you trying to teach him about like nuclear fission and stuff? And I was like, Dad, you know I learned that in like year 9 science. Yeah. What makes you think a 7-year-old is going to grasp it? But yeah. Because I remember even your dad, like him and Towie used to have so much fun together. Doing weird scientific things, a lot of things on the computer, because your dad's a computer genius.
He's the reason why I even like games in the first place, really. Like, you know, it wasn't for him sort of being a gamer when games first became ages him somewhat. Like, I definitely wouldn't have ever got into it because it wouldn't have been a thing around the house.
Yeah. No, even for me, I have to say, a big influence is your family, like Lord of the Rings. People get surprised about, obviously, sometimes, you know, you get prejudged for the way you dress and stuff. So when I turn up in a tracksuit and my do-rag, and then people start discussing Lord of the Rings, and I start spouting facts from all the films, the game, everyone's looking at me like, how the hell is he? He's like, you don't even know who my best friend was in at the beginning when I was like from 5 till now. Like we spent our life just watching these sort of things. Like you guys took me to watch Star Wars on a school night. Like, you know what I mean? Like we did everything together. And it's been such a huge influence on me, and it's why like I will happily shout that I am pretty geeky and nerdy, but I have to thank your family for that influence in my life, really. Yeah.
No, I think gaming is it's one of those things. It's got a bit of a stigma around it. Like quite often you see like in the press or something, or like on news channels and stuff, you've got like they always frown upon gaming and like gaming addiction and stuff like that, and it's a problem. And you like the thing is like in today's world, gaming is a huge thing. It's a big industry. First of all, there's sports, which has never been a thing before, really, and has become a thing in recent years. And more so, gaming is becoming a sort of it's another form of media, just like film and television. And at the end of the day, those things at one point didn't exist, and at one point were new like games, and then they became the sort of institution that they became. So I think that to frown on gaming is like it's just a bit reductive, really, because it's like at the end there's something fun, and you can get addicted to games, but you can get addicted to pretty much anything. You can get addicted to furniture shopping. Like it doesn't mean that it's necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that happens. I don't know. I think I've never looked negatively on gaming. At the end of the day, it's sort of especially more so than films and television. In fact, as well, it sort of inspires more creativity and imagination, because a lot of the time you are the main character. Like Pokémon games, it sort of thrusts you into the middle of it as you're the protagonist of the game, and you come up with everything. And RPG games do that a lot as well. Stuff like KOTOR, where you make your decisions and you become your character. The color of your lightsaber and stuff like that. It just allows you to be more creative and tell stories and all this kind of stuff. And I think it does give some level of skills, like life skills and stuff, that people don't give it credit for a lot of the time. But and I wouldn't change the fact that gaming was a big part of our childhood, because we've got a lot of good memories and a lot of fun times that we've had because of gaming, and because
we also did a lot though outside of gaming. Our parents really did get us to be active outside of just gaming, because we did a lot of bike rides. We went to a lot of different places. They really did try to like mentally stimulate us like outside the house. But when we were in the house, they let us free roam on games. They weren't bothered. They're just like when in the evenings, like you lot play till whenever. But you're right. I do think like it's a good way to connect with people. I do think as well it's another almost like social media platform. Like a lot of people have friends now from playing online FIFA. Like I had a pro clubs team that I got scouted for at some point. And I was playing with these kids from Liverpool. Kids I'll never ever meet before. And I also do think that online gaming increases a toughness in young children, because the online, as much as I don't agree with things that are said on there, because some things are very bad, but it does create a toughness, and you learn not to take a lot of things to heart, because you do realize that the world is horrible and people will just say whatever they like to you.
At the end of the day, online trolls with gaming and stuff is real negative, but you can't deny that kind of culture exists. Like even if you ignore online gaming and people shouting insults about your mother and stuff like that. You take that out of the question. I mean, you've got the exact same thing going on in Instagram and comment sections and stuff. You've got the exact same kind of trolls, except these people are probably, in a way, even more personal, because like at least when someone's insulting you for playing Call of Duty, they're just bragging on you or whatever, and they don't know anything about you. But when it's angry comment on an Instagram picture of you, it's like it's much easier to take that to heart. And I guess if you build up a bit more of a thick skin from online gaming,
that's why I say I can never get bullied online, because things that we used to hear on online gaming, like some of it's horrendous. So like I think it's something that not really our generation or like our age group, but like slightly younger than like my brothers, they are really suffering at being able to separate reality and online. And it's causing a lot of depression in some of these young kids. Like their online entity is more important than their real life entity. And even when they turn off the game, they don't really know what to do with themselves. But again, I guess for us it was a slightly easier transition because we didn't have Instagram for a lot of our childhood. We barely had like smartphones until late secondary school. So for us, we were able to kind of like play your online games and whatever, and then just go back to Bluetooth and songs at the back of classrooms. Like that was kind of the life that we lived. Whereas everyone now is just obsessed with like Instagram. If you've seen that Selfridges are now doing rent designer, you can like rent designer clothes.
Oh really? For Instagram and stuff?
Well, for anything. Imagine going to a party and just like, I want to go get a Gucci t-shirt. But like, why do you care enough to? Okay, I can understand renting a tuxedo. That makes sense to me. But renting designer clothes.
Imagine going back to Selfridges and taking back like a Gucci t-shirt that you've thrown up on. Taking it to like a 16-year-old party or something.
Honestly, the world's gone mad. Well, the world's always been mad, but
it's always been mad, but we're noticing a lot more, and it's much easier to notice now with social media being as big as it is, and with everything like that being. Yeah.
And also now we're a bit older, and we're starting to almost have like our political ideas and so like we're starting to like really get a grip. Well, the more I learn about the world, the more I realize I know nothing about the world. That's why I say, because the more I read and learn, I actually realize that this place is the most confusing. Like, nothing really makes sense anymore. Like this, especially 2020 has felt like the whole of the last decade in a year. Like so much has happened. That, like, the fact that we went from World War III to COVID in like a month, and then just all these things have just been happening in 2020. Like it's like 2020 is a cursed year or something.
It's been crazy.
It's been like the fact that you actually said that you're shielding. Like if anyone had said to us, it said to me in December on New Year's Eve. Actually, no, we'd been hearing murmurs about COVID, but if someone said to me beforehand, "Oh yeah, next year everyone's going to be in lockdown. You can't leave your house because of a disease." I would have bet the whole house, my family, that they're absolutely chatting rubbish. And then obviously
even in January I was like, oh, this is just going to be like bird flu or swine flu, where
it's just going to pass. And then all of a sudden like we couldn't leave our houses. Funny times we live in. What a way to start a new decade.
Okay, I think we're going to leave it there for today. Thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Got a lot more content on the page, and hopefully a few more of these to come as well. I'm sure you'll come back another time, won't you, Munya?
For sure, I'm around.
Lovely. So there you go. Thank you so much. Once again, goodbye from me, and
see you later, guys. Have fun.